As we move on to Japan, there's two really significant Japanese traditions in the period after 1500 that have a widespread and continuing effect on art and art history. The first of those is the Japanese tea ceremony. The tea ceremony originally starts out as part of the Zen Buddhist rituals. These Zen Buddhist monks who are meditating for long periods of time originally start drinking a matcha-based green tea as a stimulant to stay awake for these long periods of meditation. And over time, the preparation and the serving of this tea develops its own ceremonial or ritual element. In the late 1500s, this ceremony begins to separate from the Zen tradition, and while many tea houses are still associated with temples or even in temples, the ceremony itself over time becomes more secular, and today is typically used to mark a occasion that is serious or quite formal. So it might happen at weddings or business meetings. Ceremonies are also performed around the world in many Japanese gardens as a way to share Japanese culture with a wider pool of viewers. The ideas and rules of what a Japanese tea house should be started to solidify around this period, and the architect responsible for this particular tea house, Sen no Rikyu, is generally considered to be kind of one of the fathers of Japanese tea ceremony. And the Taian Tea House is considered to be the oldest surviving Japanese tea house. So looking at this slide, we can see a couple of things. First of all, it might not be quite apparent just from looking at the image, but this is quite a small space, only about 6 feet by 6 feet. The idea is that you feel quite close to the people who are participating in the tea ceremony with you, but also cut off from the outside world. The tea ceremony has a meditative aspect, and it should be present in the moment. You should not be thinking about what you have to do later, or the thing you're worried about, or anything else. You should be concentrating kind of on the present, just like you would with a meditation. Similarly, within the space of the tea ceremony, everyone is equal. Japanese society can be quite hierarchical, both today and historically, so the tea ceremony is a space where those hierarchical divisions can be, at least temporarily, set aside. Within the tea house, we can see that the walls here are quite dark, and they use natural materials. The development of Zen Buddhism within Japan also borrows from Shinto, the native religious tradition in Japan. And Shinto comes out of Japan's agricultural past, and is what we call an agrarian religion that thinks about the importance of natural materials, the natural world, plants, animals, etc. And the dark color of these walls also enhance the effect of cutting you off from the outside world. Towards the right-hand side on the back wall, we can see a niche or an indentation within that wall. In this particular picture, we see a hanging piece of calligraphy in there, but it's possible that another piece of art could be hung on the wall, and then there's a slightly elevated platform at the base. This elevated platform could also be used to display art, such as a piece of ceramics or possibly a flower arrangement. Again, the emphasis here is on simplicity and directness, so only one piece of art would be displayed at a time, and it would also act as a focus for contemplation or meditation for the people participating within the tea ceremony. Not only the spaces of the tea ceremony, but also the utensils are meant to be objects of contemplation, and the most important of those utensils is the cup that the tea is served in. These are called tea bowls to help differentiate them from a Western-style teacup. And unlike Western-style teacups, they have no handle. They're designed to be held or cupped between your two hands. And the tea ceremony is a multi-sensory experience, so that feeling of the texture of the surface of the cup, the warmth of the tea on your hands, is all part of the experience of the tea ceremony. This particular tea bowl, called Mount Fuji, is considered to be one of the finest examples of this style. This is made with an early raku style firing. And in this case, this tea bowl gets its name from the white glaze, that white glaze that sits on the rim, like the snow sits on the peak of Mount Fuji. But we can also see that here that there are many small imperfections. That white glaze isn't a perfect layer. There's lots of small specks and inconsistencies in the glaze. And if we look at the bottom picture, we can see that the line of the white glaze is not perfectly even all the way around the cup. And here again, we look back to the importance of Shinto in Japanese Buddhist traditions, because this is evoking the characteristics of wabi and sabi. So wabi is a kind of refined rusticness or refined simplicity, and sabi is a value of natural materials. So when we put those things together, there's great value for things that look natural, look like they came from the natural world, or things that are not quite perfect. And those values carry over into the tea ceremony as well. The emphasis is on meditation, on simplicity, on being present in the moment, not on necessarily making or serving the tea the perfect way. There is a prescribed set of rules and set of ways that a tea ceremony should be performed, but going in the moment and being present is far more important than following those rules.